Dipsomby, and this is my TED Talk. So today, under the theme of faces and phases, I will focus on the faces and phases that have shaped my life course, and the idea that the course of life is not linear. I'll reflect on those faces and phases that have shaped and influenced me into who I am today, the person that's standing in front of you, and all those experiences have accumulated in me being able to talk today on this TED Talk. So here I am in my 50s, I would say in relatively a happy phase of my life, but also in the face of menopause. And this is a significant phase, and it's one that we can't ignore, especially today as it's International Women's Day. So let's start at the beginning. This is a black and white photo, and you might expect that, but it's with me, with my mum and my eldest brother. The place of my birth, my childhood, my education, and actually the start of my career as a biomedical scientist in Birmingham, not too far from here. But let's go into a little bit of colour. My parents came from India in the 1960s. I was one of 6 siblings with 4 very protective brothers and grew up with kung fu, karate, boxing and cars. We had the usual laughs and scrapes. And my strongest recollection of my childhood is actually the love of reading and books. And I would spend a majority of my time after school and at weekends in the local library. We didn't have the internet then, you had to go to the library. I would immerse myself in stories about science, the universe, and also fantasies too. At school, I was advised to go into teaching, a course mapped out for me by other people. But one day, and very suddenly, I came home to the sound of crying. My dad had sadly died. I was 14. He had undiagnosed cancer. This tragedy shifted my course from teaching to wanting to pursue a career in science and medicine, choosing diagnostic pathology. So I ran books around diagnostic pathology. And to protect myself, I became fiercely independent and self-reliant, and I developed a sense of duty and responsibility. When it came to work experience at school, I asked if I could go to a local hospital laboratory. And I remember the first time I saw blood cells and organisms under a microscope, I was absolutely hooked. This was what real science was really about. Seeing how cells reacted to different diseases, how they grew in colour and intensity, and actually how they responded to fight infections, but also how they themselves can grow out of control. And that's what happened to my dad when he was diagnosed with cancer. So this was a shift in course. So instead of going to university full-time, I decided to do a vocational degree to help financially, but also the fact that I could work in the daytime as a laboratory technician, and in the evenings I was able to do an evening course. And it was in the early 80s, and there was this fear of a new pandemic, HIV/AIDS, and also the risk of viral hepatitis. Both viruses were then found to be transmitted through contaminated blood and transplants. And fast forward to where I am now, and the reason why I'm telling you this is because I'm now working for an organisation committed to eliminating infectious diseases. And I think about my career going round full circle of starting in a place where I was helping to diagnose infectious diseases to now working in a place which is helping to eliminate infectious diseases. My career was progressing really well. I went from being a junior technician to a senior biomedical scientist in 8 years. What could possibly go wrong? Well, my department was closed down and I was facing redundancy. And sometimes things happen beyond your control. And here was a new government coming in, changing the organisational structure of the NHS. And therefore my department was closed down for cost-cutting exercise. So I had a choice to make. Should I stay here in this one place and wait for something to come up? Or should I take some control, take that leap of faith and move elsewhere? Which is exactly what I did. I changed my career. I chose to take control, but I still followed my love and passion of science and medicine. So here I was in this brand new place with floor-to-ceiling analyzers. I thought I had arrived. This was it. This was automation happening in front of me. I'll go backwards, I'm sorry. So this was automation, and as I said, we had this new thing called the internet, so life was getting really excited. I was progressing my career. I was at the top, and I thought, this is it, I've arrived. What could possibly happen next? Well, then I happened to go into a very nice phase of my course of life, and that of motherhood. And again, it was that decision I had to make, but it was unexpected after years of trying. I was faced with the choice of, do I continue in my current career, or do I take a maternity break? And the thing with having a maternity break was it meant I had to go back to work. But I decided to take a complete break and stayed at home with my children and grew my family, followed by one daughter, followed by 2 sons. But there were financial responsibilities too. So I worked in the evenings at Heathrow Airport, and I trained to become a hair and makeup artist, working at weekends. This, again, was my sense of purpose, duty, and responsibilities. But do you feel another change coming? I think you do. I was sat at a GP surgery. I had taken my youngest child to get his immunization boosters. And I just so happened to sit next to a representative from a pharmaceutical company. She told me what she did, and then she turned to me and she said, "Culdip, you can do this too. You can do this whilst you have a family, and you can do this part-time." And that day, she planted a seed in my head, and that seed soon became an orchard. So I started to apply for roles in the pharmaceutical industry part-time. And here I am now, 23 years later, working for the same organization, a pharmaceutical company called MSD, as a strategic partnerships and program lead, leading teams on large-scale projects with the NHS. It was never a career that I thought that I had chosen. I didn't even know that this industry existed then. I was looking for my... But you might be thinking to yourself, 23 years is a long time, same organization, and it is. But for me, financial stability was really important as I was growing my family. So my family grew as my career grew. The other thing that was really important to me was being patient and not rushing to get a promotion. Because my family were important to me, I was able to stay close to my values and my principles in growing my family and have no regrets. But a lot of personal events happened in this phase, particularly the loss of my mum and my father-in-law in the space of 3 months. I was feeling burnt out. I felt I was heading towards depression, so I decided to take some time out. So building resilience and well-being is really important to me. I booked to go away on a restorative retreat, disconnected completely from technology, and utilized the healing power of nature to restore my energy. On one of the evenings, I decided to go for a walk in the forest, barefoot, and I got badly lost. But rather than get scared and anxious, I was really excited and energized by the prospect of finding my way back. And this was a profound moment because I turned to go up a very steep hill. And actually what I saw was a canopy of trees, and the petals had fallen from the trees and laid out a path. The sun was just shining through the trees and lit up this path, and I thought something really profound. Thought to myself, if I hadn't got lost, I wouldn't have seen that path. And I actually found my way home. So maybe there's a lesson in that, is don't be afraid not to take the wrong path or the right path, but an alternative path, because you might just miss out on something that's quite spectacular. So do take that chance. So just as I was having a sense of stability and getting into running, I started with 5K, running 10K, competed my first half marathon, I experienced another change. And this was me with my broken ankle. I injured my shoulder, my wrist, and my back in a very freak accident. And I also got diagnosed with osteoporosis. And now I was in that phase of menopause. I knew things were going to take longer to heal. And I had brain fog, which I've experienced during this talk. And also hormonal weight gain. Come on, why? It does happen. And I think you're getting to know me a little bit by now. So when one door closes, another door opens. So I took up resistance training and weightlifting. And this is me lifting more than my body weight. So it was really important for me to keep fit and healthy. So reflecting back and summarizing the phases. The first phase, where all I wanted to be was to become a medical scientist. There was nothing that I pursued, and that was by tragedy in my life. The next phase was motherhood. The phase of my career ambitions to focus on my family, no regrets whatsoever. And the third phase is the phase that I'm now. In a sense of balance with relative health, my children have flown the nest, and empty nest syndrome is real. So for all you out there and your parents are wondering and thinking, they will be feeling the same way that I was feeling. What do you do as a mother now? So I travelled. And you can see at the bottom all the flags of all the countries that I have visited. And the last two will be Australia and Hong Kong in September. So I'm finding myself with time and space to be me. And I wouldn't say I've ever sacrificed my time for my family, because I haven't, because it's been a privilege. But I'm finding time for me to do the things that I want to do. And finally, how do all these phases intersect? They are a cumulative collection of experiences, knowledge, everything that you've built up over the years, for me, is what sets you up for now, to be present in the phases, but also for you to respond to the future. But how do you choose which path to go on? Do you choose with your head, with logic? Do you choose with your heart and emotions? Or do you choose with your gut? And most of the time, I've chosen with my gut. But all of those phases are nothing without the people in them. And for me, you saw right at the beginning of my journey, my brother and my mum. And they are two people that have really influenced the way I think, the way I feel, and the way I respond to things. They've always said to me, pressure is a privilege. You can handle it. You would not be able to handle it otherwise, but you can. You can do this. And that's the way I feel. Sadly, my brother died a few years ago, and I would really like to dedicate this TED Talk to him. So your course of life will not be linear. It will be beautiful. It will be messy, but it will unfold in ways that will challenge you and surprise you. But it's your course, and it's your course to own. So own it. Thank you for listening.